So then, how do we do it? How do we counter-attack the big boys? We've got to the Premier League with probably a smaller team, or maybe starting in the Premier League with a smaller team, like a Brighton or something like that. You come up against Liverpool, you come up against City, and you just get mauled by them because their teams are that strong. Now, although this is a formations and tactics guide, I want you to kind of disregard your formation for the time being, because you can kind of make your chosen formation work against the big boys. I'm not saying use your formation that served you so well, then as soon as you meet a big boy, scrap that formation and go with the one I tell you to. Not at all. What we can do though, we can tweak it, and we can tweak it using the team instructions. How do we do that? Well, we want to concentrate initially on your lines and your team shape. Let's have a look here. So this is my team. I've got it set out as a 4-4-2. Again, disregard the formation to an extent. The team shape and line. I've got a standard defensive line, meaning I'm going to drop a little bit deeper than I normally would. Normally I play a bit higher up with an offside trap. I'm playing the big boys, I'll drop that line back because I know I'm going to be under a bit more pressure. Same goes for my line of engagement. I don't want my strikers pushing up all the way there, leaving huge gaps in between my strikers and midfield and defence. I'll have them set back a bit, either at a standard line of engagement or even lower to much lower. What's the thinking here? Well, we want the big teams who love having the ball and bombing onto us, we want them to do that because that's how we're going to catch them on the break with a different style of play than we normally play, keeping our formation that serves us so well. This shape here will allow them to come onto us, which they're going to do anyway, but it means we're going to be more in control of them coming onto us than they think. We will have our tackling at get stuck in level, so we're going to smash into them. We will have our defensive width and narrow, more of that later. Basically mean I'm going to compact the game a little bit. What else can we do? We can change our in possession instructions. So normally I play a shorter passing style with a lower tempo. When I play the big boys, I crank that tempo up and I crank up the passing directness to standard or even direct. Why do we do that? Because it goes hand in hand with passing the space. Think of Man City, think of Liverpool, think of their fullbacks. What do? They bomb on like wingers. Half the match they stay in the opposition half. So, hand in hand with our winning the ball back, get stuck in, smash into the opposition, closing down a bit more in certain areas, comes the direct play and passing to space. We win the ball back, then we hit into these areas where the fullbacks are vacated, meaning passing to space and direct coming very, very handy in a counter-attacking formation when you're sitting that a little bit deeper. And finally, in transition. Now, a lot of people will play counter press, as do I, against smaller teams. Against the big boys, we stay away from counter press. Why? Click on the counter press and have a look. Counter press basically means your players, as soon as you've lost the ball, will chase like crazy to win it back. Counter press makes your attacking players, your midfield and your strikers, go for that, running everywhere to get the ball. Great, but if you don't get it back, you're completely marooned your defence. Now, invariably, you're not going to win it back against the Cities, the Liverpools, the Chelseas, because their technical players are just going to ping it around you. So, we take that off. We don't press regroup. Regroup will take us back. It is an option if you do take the lead or you're trying to hold on to a result. We just leave it spare, let the players think what they're doing. You've been in the Premier League now, your mental should be decent. We do have counter-attack on though, because that is the basis of our game plan. We sit deep and we counter-attack. But most importantly, take counter-press off because it's going to leave you running all over the place and leave your defence far too exposed. Let's take that one off against the big boys. Back to the tactic. Remember, I'm playing 4-4-2. Doesn't necessarily mean that you should. It's just a good formation for me to play against big boys. So the basis is, the theory is, we win the ball back here and then we ping it direct into space, vacated by the opposition fullbacks. Now, I would say 90% of the teams you're going to come up against in the top European leagues are going to play 4-2-3-1 or a variation, and their wide men are not going to be wide men as such. They're going to rely on their fullbacks to supply the width, and their wide men are going to be inverted, opposite wingers cutting inside. That way, if we press the fullbacks and win it off their fullbacks, there should be a lot of room out wide. Ways to win it off the fullbacks? Two ways. You can instruct your wingers, your wide men. So either your wingers in a 4-4-2 or if you're doing a 4-2-3-1, your wide men, close down more, set them up to really press against the opposition fullbacks. The other option is to actually mark the specific player, so you can mark the opposition fullback, cutting him out of the game. Or you can also ask your fullbacks to push on and mark that a little bit tighter and more urgent pressing. because majority of the players are going to come from their fullbacks out wide. Now, we mentioned earlier that we defend narrow. Why do we defend narrow? As I just said, 90% of these teams are going to be playing 4-2-3-1, which involves two inverted wingers tucking in, so they'll be in these areas here. If we defend that bit narrower, it stops the gaps, and if we're blocking out their fullbacks, the width shouldn't be as big a problem as it normally would. If we play wide like this to block out the fullbacks, that would mean that there's too much space in them key areas for their inverted wingers to cause damage. So we'll go narrow. On the very slim odd occasion that you play against out and out wingers, that's when you can change your width, get it out wide, because they're going to be coming out wide for you. But as I say, 95% of the time you're going to be playing against two inverted wingers. Keep it narrow. Alright, we've blocked out their attacking threats, but how do we score? How do we score against these big boys? Set plays are your new best friend. Now there's ways to set them up, but do take the time to set them up and play to your strengths. So the first thing to do is get your corner taker to aim for a specific position on the pitch, not just whip it into the 6-yard box or things like that. I like near post aims and far post aims. Once you've set that, we've got this set player here where he's aiming for the near post. Find your best header of the ball. Now that doesn't necessarily mean heading attributes. It means heading and jumping reach. Combine them together. I would arguably say that jumping reach is even more important. Once you've got that, set him at the near post. So you've got your taker, near post, target, near post, and get that pinged in. You'll be amazed how many times this works, especially against bigger teams. They seem to not like defending against their players. On the other side, change it up a bit so they don't get used to what you're doing. I like to simply change to the far post. So we're attacking far post from one side, near post from the other, and get your best jumping reach, stroke header as the target. Right, your next one, bit underused, long throws. Now they look but ugly, they're not glamorous, but my oh my, how many goals have I scored against the big boys with long throws, or goals coming from long throws, so not direct, but chance coming from it. Get yourself your best throwing taker, left and right. Get that long throw in there. Have a short option to confuse your position. Sometimes they will use that short option if there's no decent options in the middle. Then set your strikers and your midfielders in and around the box and watch the carnage happen. Great example here, we're playing Man United at home. Mighty Man United against tiny Penrith. So obviously they should batter us 5-0, right? Not so. First 2 minutes, Matheson up there. He's got the long throw coming from the right. Let's play it on. Big long throw, carnage ensues. Keepers all over the place. Defenders got a lousy header in because, let's be honest, bigger teams have a bit of an issue at centre back, don't they? Out it comes, Skinner on the rebound. There's number one. Long throw leading to a goal against the big boys. Not so long later, we get a corner. We've cancelled out their attacks, we're pushing them back. We have a corner. So we've got Skinner taking the ball there, taking the corner. This man here is Nathan Bizet at the near post, like we just said. Let's see what happens. In it goes, Bizet near post, bang, in it goes. Notice he was marked by 3 men there, so his jumping reach and heading ability has just tanked a lot of them. So that's gave us 2 goals against United. Ended up finishing 2-2, but what a result. Same season, this time we're away to Chelsea where we got another amazing 1-1 result. Chelsea are huge, they've got Haaland playing up front, they've got João Pedro, they've got Sancho, they should have demolished us at 10 or 11-0. Finishes 1-1. How do we get a goal? Long throw, Lucas there, in he comes. There's the long throw, huge. Carnage ensues, look at all that panic. Bruno taps it in. These little wins, set plays, throw-ins, corners, they're going to do the biz for you. Get them set up. They're going to get you lots of sneaky goals against the big boys. In summary, drop back a bit, have a little look at your TIs, keep your formation, don't mess it up for the sake of a few games against the big boys, drop it back, play a little bit more direct, pass into space, work on your set plays. You'll be amazed at the results you can get against the big lads. They don't like it. It's an old school theory, but tackling hard, in at them, a bit more direct, they do not like it. Give it a go, let me know how it goes for you.